I think my grandparents always were philanthropists. They were always trying to make the community better. Our house, we always had people who, needed things or they needed a place to stay. Actually, we never just had my siblings living in our house. My parents were always raising somebody else's child.
Yes.
So that's kind of the culture that I was brought up in.
This is Dr. Rodney Duckett with the Lively Art of Conversation, where we live, we learn, we earn, my goodness, and we pass it along. Tune in and listen to us every Sunday from 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. as we give you our story with the Lively Art of Conversation. Good day, good day, good day. It's that Sunday morning special. It is your community facilitator, Dr. Rodney Duckett, a.k.a. the community facilitator, a.k.a. the culture enthusiast, a.k.a. I guess you guys call me the rowdy, radical, rock, whatever names that you guys give me. It really doesn't matter because like I said, I'll take your positive vibes and I'll take your dirt because you need sunshine and dirt in order for a flower to bloom and grow. So I'll take that all in. It's another wonderful episode of the Lively Art of Conversation where we live, we learn, we earn. My goodness, today we're going to pass some nuggets along. For you guys that don't know, like I've been explaining week after week after week, the Lively Art of Conversation is your story, our story, everybody's story. And that name came from one of my dearest close friends, Dr. Reverend Roscoe Harrison. He had the Focus Show. In the Focus Show, he said, "Hello, my name is Roscoe Harrison, and you're watching the Focus Show where we practice the lively art of conversation." And I told Roscoe if I ever got into a chance where I can have my own show, I have to use that. And he said, "It's yours, brother. You use it." So this show is really to honor him and just stand on the shoulders of great ancestors like him to be the first at doing something. Technically, I'm not the first at doing it, but I just like to go off of his motivation. So we're going to do something that's very, very important to me. Without my underwriters, this show would not exist whatsoever. Our underwriters are very important. My underwriters are like family to me because my underwriters, when I call them up and say, "Hey, I'm doing a show," they say, "Hey, what do I need to do? Tell me what I need to pay. I'm on it." So this one, guys, is for you. At this time, let me introduce you to our underwriters.
This is Lavina Sabri with So Natural Catering and Bomb A Lemonade, and you're listening to the Lively Art of Conversation.
Hello. This is Rodney Duckett with the Lively Art of Conversation. As we live, we learn, we earn, and we pass that wisdom along. Join us every Sunday from 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. as we bring to you our story. You bring your story, we give you our story, and our story is how we engage in our community. Everybody has a story, and we're waiting to hear your story. So if you're interested, reach out to us at livelyartofconversation@gmail.com.
Looking to elevate your brand or capture unforgettable moments? New Image Media offers top-tier videography, photography, personal branding, and more. They combine creativity and quality with fair pricing and friendly service so you get the results you want. Whether it's a business promo or special occasion, they bring your vision to life with quality you can trust. Choose New Image Media, where your image is everything. For more info, email media@newimagemiallc.com. Words have power. They connect, heal, and inspire. That's the mission at Better Watch Your Tone, LLC, founded by Toni B. Shelton. She's empowering through powerful poetry and prose with hundreds impacted through speaking events, workshops, and 8 self-published books. Ready to honor the story within? Discover books and coaching at betterwatchyourtone.com. For event poetry or book writing support, email tonyshelton@gmail.com. Let's use our words to uplift. Better watch your tone. You've built a life worth celebrating. Now it's time to be seen. At Las Foto de Lance Photography, they don't just take portraits, they capture the fire in your spirit and the power in your presence. Whether you're reclaiming your confidence, owning your story, or stepping into a new chapter, Las Foto de Lance Photography creates luxury images that reflect the real you. Visit lasfotodelance.net or drop by their Harker Heights studio. Las Foto de Lance Photography, unapologetically you, immortalized.
Hello, this is Dr. Rodney Duckett with the Heritage Legacy Curators. You're looking for something for your kids to do this summer? Well, reach out to me at Impact Outreach, IMPAC Outreach at gmail.com, because Heritage Legacy Curators is all about collecting oral history. So if you have stories that you would love to pass down to your kids, or if you have a project that maybe your kids need to do as it relates to oral history, bring those family albums out and we'll sit there and we'll sort through those family albums. So that way we can collect those stories and keep those stories within the family. So that way they can be the next speakers to curate your family reunion. All right, we're back with the lively art of conversation. For you guys that don't know who I am, my name is Dr. Rodney Duckett. I am a transplant to this area by way of Tulsa, Oklahoma. So Tulsa, Oklahoma is that beautiful little place just north of here where we call this place the Black Wall Street. And if you don't know the Black Wall Street, I guarantee you know Greenwood, Archer, and Pine, which is a Gap band. You burn the rubber on me, shiny. Drop the bomb on me, baby. So that's where I come from. I actually joined the military, wind up staying here, raising all my kids in this area. I just hung around because the cost of living was good, and I actually like Central Texas. So that's the reason why I'm here, to bring you guys the lively art of conversation, because we need to start capturing our stories, because the narratives are changing, and there's a lot of richness in our story. And my goodness, I got a rich story for you guys here today. So let me talk about something. Every week I'm doing something, and I like to start off with a word. So if you have your journals right beside you, the word is resilience. That is the word, resilience. And I want you to hold this quote, the power of resilience. Let me tell you about the power of resilience. It's the human capacity for burdens. It's like bamboo, far more flexible than you've ever believed at first glance. That is resilience. Bamboo is very flexible. But let's talk about this incredible strength and adaptability that we possess, especially mothers. There's nothing more adaptable than a mother. I'm telling you, fathers are very rigid, but mothers are very adaptable. They go with the flow. Sometimes mothers can be rigid too, but they have a tendency to find their time and place to be rigid with their children. But mothers are like bamboo. They can bend, they can move, they can break, they can go with the twist, they can withstand any immense amount of pressure or challenges. Resilience is the word I want you to write down for this week. And the thought-provoking question that I give you: what is the time in your life when you demonstrated resilience? What did you learn from yourself in the process of that? And my guest today is all about resilience. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored. I'm honored to be amongst greatness. Now, when I say this word greatness, I mean what I say. It's just not hyperbole. It is truly greatness. I have a powerhouse. She's a successful attorney. She's a devoted mother. She's a published author. She's a motivational speaker. She's a change agent. I mean, whatever she sets herself on, she is a lioness, and she's always on the attack mode. And she's on the attack mode because she wants to keep things checked and balanced and accountability for the greatness of us as a people. And we don't have a lot of that in our community. We have people that say they're going to do stuff, but they don't do stuff. This young lady does stuff. I had the pleasure of meeting her maybe about 16 years ago on the Focus Show with Reverend Roscoe Harrison. And I remember Mr. Horace Grace, the executive producer, telling me, he says, "Oh, you got to strap up for this one." He said, "That little stuff that you were doing, I got one for you." And I was like, huh? And they brought her on the show, and within 10 minutes, I was perspiring all over the place. I was a hot mess after the show. I say, whoa, yeah, she's going to make me step my game up. Ladies and gentlemen, you know her by the wonderful, the beautiful, the brilliant, the talented. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring to you my guest, Miss Aya Eneli.
Okay, I'm like completely speechless. First of all, I can't say that I know exactly who you were talking about, but I will say this. As you evoked the name of Roscoe Harrison, yes, our ancestor now, I just felt like wherever he is, he's smiling down, because we are continuing to do some of the work he did, because he has
yes,
such big shoes.
Yes.
It would take multiple people to fill his shoes.
Yes.
But I'm grateful for the example. I'm grateful that we got to interact with him in that
Yes.
way. I'm grateful that Mr. Horace Grace made it possible for me to meet you. And when they
Yes.
say iron sharpens iron, the work you do in our community literally brings me to tears because you show up for those people that the rest of society wants to just discard.
Thank you.
And you're not doing it for show. You're not doing it for accolades. You're not doing it when it feels good. Like, this is who you've been for the decade plus that I've known you. And that consistency, you want to talk about resilience, that resilience, whether you've got enough sleep, whether your pockets are low, whatever, you just always showing up is amazing. And I thank you for that.
And I appreciate you because I'm telling you, I don't get no sleep and my pockets are always low. I mean, that is true. That is so true. I mean,
one to know one.
Exactly. And for people that think that this nonprofit is a way that you can make a career off of, you're out of your mind. The nonprofit is constantly just giving away gifts. I don't know how people
Well, no, if you do it like Trump, you take in and you don't give anything.
You know what?
Exactly.
I could do that as well, too. I'm going to get me a Rod Duckett University. And
right? Right?
I'll probably have one person sign up.
I'll be your hype woman.
You be my hype woman?
Yeah.
That's what
I'm
talking about.
But I'm not going to jail with you, though.
No, don't go to jail with me. Federal is the way you're attorney. Is federal the way to go?
Federal is the way to go.
Federal.
It's nicer.
Yeah, that's why I hear it's nice. I don't want to know either side of it, but I know federal, they keep saying is the way to go. You get furloughs and stuff in federal. That's pretty cool. So I want to start off with this here. For people that don't know you, tell them a little bit about yourself because you have a duality to you. You know, you are this African-American woman, but you are an African-based woman foundationally. Tell them a little bit about your journey to be who you are and where you come from.
So I like to say I'm the ultimate African-American because I was born here in America. I was born in Columbus, Ohio. My parents were part of the African brain drain when the colonizers were identifying the people that they felt were bright enough to train and then install them back as middle managers so that they keep control of our economies, even though they're not, quote unquote, still in power. But anyway, my parents were part of the African brain drain. They came to first the UK and then Canada and the US to get their degrees. And I was born here, raised, quote unquote, a Buckeye, but I returned to Nigeria when I was 4. And so I did all my elementary, middle school, and high school in Nigeria, and then came back and forth and visited from time to time. But then I moved back here for college and found out that I had to redo high school. Well, at least graduate from high school again, because apparently at that time, Ohio State University did not know if trigonometry in America meant the same thing as trigonometry in Nigeria, because math suddenly changes when it goes to Africa, even though, of course, we know math started in Africa.
Exactly.
But anyway,
Exactly.
So I've had the opportunity of growing up on both continents and really being immersed in the culture on both continents. And as soon as I came back to the United States, I almost went into a depression. I had I'd bought into the idea of Martin Luther King had been assassinated, Malcolm X, they'd fought for all of these rights. We had civil rights, so it was kumbaya. And so coming back to the country and then being faced with racism, I was like, whoa. And so one of the things I did when I was at Ohio State University, course, activism with the Rodney King verdict. Yeah. We formed an organization called Africans Committed to Improving Our Nation. And we rallied against the university, fought for a lot of things that are now being dismantled 30 plus years later. And then I went on to get a master's in Black Studies, studying African and African American culture and history. And then I went on to get my Juris Doctorate.
So let's talk about that balance that you have, because what was that aha moment that says, I need to be the mouthpiece for other people?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, my friends from childhood will say that I was always the one. I wouldn't fight for myself, but I would fight for other people. Like, I was always a voice for people who I felt were being marginalized. And I would scrap with, I would square up against guys. My daughters, my sons don't need to listen to this, but I was never the aggressor. But if you brought a fight in school, I would fight you, so I'd probably have been suspended if I was here. But we knew how to fight then, though. You didn't fight on campus. Yeah. You didn't, and it was just fists. We didn't do nothing else.
Yeah.
But So I think my grandparents always were philanthropists. They were always trying to make the community better. Our house, we always had people who, needed things or they needed a place to stay. Actually, we never just had my siblings living in our house. My parents were always raising somebody else's child.
Yes.
So that's kind of the culture that I was brought up in. But then coming to the United States and just seeing how we were still maltreated, how I was called an African booty scratcher, how my sister was called a monkey, all of that. It was like, nah, we fighting. No, we're raising our voice.
Yes.
We're lifting every voice.
Yes, we're lifting every voice. But I mean, and again, for me to see that, because some of the issues that we have now that you had in school are the issues that kids are having right now. And a lot of people don't know how to deal with that stress because we have access to weapons very easily. So you see kids being able to get a weapon, and because they don't know how to fight, or they don't know how to debate, or they don't know how to have a disagreement and let it settle, they go the opposite direction, and always someone losing their life or being severely injured by that. So the mere fact that you bring it up is reality. And I think everybody at one time has had a good solid fight. I've had good solid fights with my friends. And if you
haven't, you're a punk. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Me and my friends have always fought. Boys always fight. We fought. We become friends. We kumbaya'd with each other. Yes. But at the end of the day, I think fighting is a natural thing. Not always fighting, but that people just tussle and we realize, man, I'm tired. My knuckles hurt. We got to figure out a way to somehow get along. So let's talk a little bit about your life. So you have balanced one of the most trickiest professions of all time. You have a profession to be an attorney, but also you have a life skill that not very many people have, and that's called to be a good mother. How were you able to balance out that professionalism as being an attorney, being on top of your job, but also balancing life out with your children?
So I'm about to pop some people's buttons, and that is that I did not.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not the great one.
Yeah, I did not. And I think that we should show each other a lot of grace. This whole idea that you're going to be everything all at one time in one season. Naturally, there are seasons to life. I'm a gardener, and what my plants are doing now in spring, they were not doing in winter. They will not be doing in summer. There's a time for everything. And so I definitely wanted to be Superwoman. I saw my mother go back and get a PhD after having 7 children in her 40s. In fact, when I was a freshman at Ohio State University, she was a PhD student. So we would study together in the library. And so, but my mother's generation also had help in a way that this generation, we don't have the same kind of help. We had family members. We had other people. She wasn't dropping us off at daycare. We had a community that cared for us. So even when she had to travel to study or whatever, it was fine. Now, when we moved to the United States and we were both in college, the older children actually became parents to the younger ones. I say all of that to say, yes, I got my degrees. I got married. And I was doing the whole balancing life and career and motherhood and all of that. And then life threw me some curveballs. My husband and we suffered 4 miscarriages in a row. Wow. It took me out. Spiritually, physically, mentally, in every way. I just couldn't hang in that way. And my husband, thank God, gave me that moment to say, you can step back and heal.
Yes.
And at that point, I decided, you know what? I'm not going to be employed by anybody else. I'm going to run my own businesses, my own initiatives, but I would run them in such a way that I can center my children. Now, that has been great in the sense that I was able to keep my skill sets up. I was able to continue to help my family. But I did take a step back from law for quite some time. And I did not make some of the money that some of my peers made. So there are sacrifices. Yeah. And I just want people to know that. Having said that, my youngest is now in high school. And you know what? Some folk are looking forward to retirement. I am looking forward to the next phase of my life. Like, I'm ready to go another 50 years right now. So whatever status, wherever you may be, mothers, women, pay attention to what you need in your life. Like, we need to stop comparing ourselves to other people.
Yeah.
Someone else's race is not your race.
Yes.
Just run your own. And so whatever
Like
it
that.
is that I did not accomplish in my 30s and 40s because I was raising kids, listen, I'm about to outdo everybody now because it's my time.
Yes.
That's just what it is. But I'm very grateful that I did have the time to make breakfast and pack lunches and homeschool and garden with my kids and go to the activities and all of that. I did not carry the Chanel purses, nor am I interested in them. I did not have the a lot of fancy things, but I wanted to invest in my children in that way.
That is beautiful. Stay in your lane is what I got. Stay in your lane. And the reason why I asked you that question, I had Miss Lavina Sabri on, and she pretty much said the same thing, because when I'm in circles and I talk to people and your name pop up, or Lavina or somebody else's name, I was like, oh my God, I admire them. They're just the perfect woman.
No.
But then when you peel back the onion a little bit, you begin to find out that you're not. But you carry yourself in such a dignified and distinguished way that when people mention your name, it's like, oh, she gives me chills. And I was like, well, she's just a normal lady. But I guess as a young lady looking at you, they see you and they say they want to be where you're at. But a lot of times they don't understand the challenges and struggles that you had to take to be where you are.
It was a lot of work. I mean, at one point when I was in law school, I was offloading trucks for UPS.
Oh.
I worked at Nationwide Insurance at 5:30 in the morning, and I worked at a law firm. So I had 3 jobs and in law school, and we weren't supposed to have any jobs at all. But,
Wow.
you did what you had to do. Another time I got a job with Victoria's Secret Catalog, and I worked from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m., go home, sleep, and then go to school. So, again, I think it's also with this generation, social media is just like screwing people up, because people take 20 pictures, post their best ones, and then you're comparing your life to their highlight reel.
Yes.
And what I tell people is everybody's path is different. What I advise my children is take time to get to know yourself, take risks, not stupid risks, but take risks. You're going to learn maybe even more from your supposed failures than from your successes. And then just stay focused on what brings you joy and how you can make a difference in life. I do believe this, though, and this is something my grandparents drummed into me, my parents drummed into me. You are not here on earth just to have a good time. You were born for a purpose, and your purpose is to make this world better than it was when you found it. So find how you can be of service to people.
Wow, I love that. Just you're born with a gift, and your job is to give it away. I mean, and servitude. Servitude to the many leads to greatness. That's awesome. You're watching The Lively Art of Conversation. As you see, this is the pipe bomb going off right here. So I'm here with the beautiful, lovely, brilliant, my good friend, Miss Aya Eneli, and we're getting ready to go to a brief commercial. But before I say that, if you guys are interested in any type of advertising or underwriting through The Lively Art of Conversation, please just reach out to me. It's livelyartofconversation@gmail.com, and we'll see you here shortly.
Words have power. They connect, heal, and inspire. That's the mission at Better Watch Your Tone, LLC, founded by Toni B. Shelton. She's empowering through powerful poetry and prose, with hundreds impacted through speaking events, workshops, and 8 self-published books. Ready to honor the story within? Discover books and coaching at betterwatchyourtone.com. For event poetry or book writing support, email ToniShelton@gmail.com. Let's use our words to uplift. Better watch your tone. You've built a life worth celebrating. Now it's time to be seen. At Las Foto de Lance Photography, they don't just take portraits, they capture the fire in your spirit and the power in your presence. Whether you're reclaiming your confidence, owning your story, or stepping into a new chapter, Las Foto de Lance Photography creates luxury images that reflect the real you. Visit lasfotodelance.net or drop by their Harker Heights studio. Las Foto de Lance Photography, unapologetically you, immortalized. Looking to elevate your brand or capture unforgettable moments? New Image Media offers top-tier videography, photography, personal branding, and more. They combine creativity and quality with fair pricing and friendly service so you get the results you want. Whether it's a business promo or special occasion, they bring your vision to life with quality you can trust. Choose New Image Media, where your image is everything. For more info, email media@newimagemiallc.com.
This is Dr. Rodney Duckett with the Heritage Legacy Curators. You're looking for something for your kids to do this summer? Well, reach out to me at Impact Outreach, IMPAC outreach @gmail.com, because Heritage Legacy Curators is all about collecting oral history. So if you have stories that you would love to pass down to your kids, or if you have a project that maybe your kids need to do as it relates to oral history, bring those family albums out and we'll sit there and we'll sort through those family albums, so that way we can collect those stories and keep those stories within the family, so that way they can be the next speakers to curate your family reunion. Hey, we're back with the lively art of conversation. If you don't know, I am here with the brilliant, the bold, the attorney, the change maker, the visionary, the revolutionary, the number one, the only, Miss Aya Eneli. She's about to kick me real quick. I know she is. And it's a pleasure to be here. So we were talking about her life, but I want to talk about what she learned along the way. What would, like, navigating through what you told me, you said that you're not that picture perfect idea of a mother in the beginning.
No.
But what did you learn from all of this, your struggles, your challenges?
Well, there have been a lot of challenges. I'm not sure how much we're allowed to share on air, but I will say this again, because so many of us beat ourselves up, or because of certain circumstances, we think we've been written out for, life is over for us. So although I grew up in a 2-parent home, my parents are well educated and so on and so forth, I am a survivor of child sexual abuse.
Oh, wow.
I share that not because I necessarily want to put my business out on Front Street, but because there are people who are beating themselves down, who are counting themselves out. And I want to say that, again, one of the things my grandparent taught me, and one of the things that my miscarriages taught me, is that if you are on the face of this earth, you were meant to be here. Because through the formation of a child, there are so many different things that can happen at any given point in time that can cause that child not to develop, that can cause you to miscarry, so on and so forth. So any of us walking this earth, you were meant to be here.
Wow.
So whatever else happens to you after you show up, that was just to teach you, to make, because right now, the way I'm able to mentor young girls and women is because of all of the things that I have gone through. The Bible says, I think something like, out of the what you have received, you're able to give. Yes. And so because I was able to go through these things and heal from them, I see and hear things differently. I'm able to communicate with people differently. It's actually become part of my gift. I can pray for women and they have children. Wow. But that's only because of all the years I spent on my knees. So what I've learned is, first of all, if you were born, you are here for a reason. Whatever challenges you are faced with are meant to sharpen you for your journey.
Man.
Whatever it is, instead of you thinking it was put here to count you out, no, it was put here to make you even stronger and more effective in what it is you're going to do. Think about it. When you were in school, you had to get your doctorate. You had to take some tests.
Yes.
You didn't pass the test, you didn't get that doctorate.
That's true.
So I look at the challenges that come to me now in life as, I'm about to get a promotion. But I got to pass this test. So let's pay attention. Let's be resilient. So that's how I look. Count it all joy, basically.
Yes.
The other lessons that I've learned is, listen, hard work beats talent every time.
Yes, it does.
Don't tell me, God gave me a good voice. Okay, what you going to do with it? God gave me, what you going to do with it? So put in the effort. And too many of us are looking for that quick, I can get on the influencer, whatever, and twerk and get, 1 million followers. Yes, but what value have you added to yourself or to the world?
Yes.
And so you use that word revolutionary. I was thinking about it because I do a podcast with a friend called Women and Resistance. And we've been looking at Black women who, a lot of times are discounted, erased, or whatever. And when we talk about revolutionary, most of us should not even mention that word, because these are people who were willing to sacrifice their lives, but they gave, they studied, they put their gifts to use, and they were willing to lay down their lives. And so if you want to call yourself a revolutionary, make sure you're ready to go all the way. So just a few of the, but hard work. know who you are. Take time to know who you are. Go through the tough times. Even if you're going through them alone, you're not alone, because we always have God and our ancestors with us. And then apply those lessons.
Yeah.
And do the work.
I like that. I talked to a friend earlier today, and we talked about revolutionaries, and we talked about some of the ones we know, like Garvey, X, King, how they died and they were broke, but they gave all they could possibly give to this world, and a lot of times people use these things and they're not willing to take a paper cut for the world. So I'm glad that you said that. Let's talk about some wisdom right now. I'm going to dive into your wisdom because you're a very wise woman. Let's take you in the present moment talking to the younger you. What advice would you give that person in the differences, the advice you would give that person that try to have them take a different path in life, so you can mitigate some of these pitfalls and barriers along the way?
The best advice I would give my younger self is trust yourself.
Trust yourself.
Trust yourself. I mean, looking back, there were times when, when we say we have intuition or that thing in our gut or that small voice or whatever, like we're always being instructed. But then sometimes you let the voices of the world come in and drown out, or peer pressure, or, trying to keep up with the Joneses or whatever. And so the biggest thing I would say is trust yourself. And I would also remind myself, listen, no night lasts forever. Something else that actually I learned probably about 25 or so years ago, but it has really stayed with me. And if you call any of my children, they can repeat this to you, is before you make any major decisions, halt. And the halt, the H stands for, don't make any major decisions when you're really hungry.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't make any major decisions when you're really angry.
Yes.
Don't make any major decisions when you're feeling really lonely, really like the world is against me, that kind of thing. Don't make any major decisions when you're tired, when you're exhausted. So halt. Because in that state, you are not in an optimal state of mind. You're seeing things through some kind of lens, and you can, in that moment, make a decision that will last a lifetime in terms of consequences. So whenever you can, you're faced with a major decision, your stomach is growling, someone's pissed you off, whatever, your head is hot, or you're feeling nobody cares, I'm all alone, it's just me against the world, or you're exhausted. Take a step back. Get some food in your stomach if you can. Get a little sleep. Say some affirmations. Build your inner spirit up again, and then look at the situation again. And now, what decision do I want to make? Because a lot of times we make these rash decisions when we're not in a good mind frame, and then we deal with the consequences forever. That could be you just had sex with someone you barely knew. Now your baby, your baby mama or your baby daddy, whatever. That could be now you've hit someone, they fell, they knocked, they're dead. Now whatever happens, you have some kind of record, whatever. That could be you got married at a split second, and people get married like this, but divorces take a whole lot more. Yes. That could be you decided to flunk out of school, whatever. Like, take a moment. Think about it.
That is good, solid advice. Halt. Will you say that one more time for the audience? One more time. Halt.
Halt.
Journal. Get your journals out.
Halt before you make any major decisions.
That is beautiful. So let's talk about things that you earned and gained along the way. Now, you're attorney of law. We know you earned that. But you're also a book author, and that's the one thing that you haven't mentioned. Tell me a little bit about what you got out in publication right now.
Well, so I actually have 4 books out, but let me tell you again, this trust yourself thing, I always wanted to write. I wrote all the time as a child, but I always figured, I need to get more training. I need to get this. It's always more. And so I started writing for a newspaper. And this was before this whole digital age that we're in now. And I would be at the grocery store and people would stop me and say, I clipped your article and I sent it to my niece or sent it to my granddaughter or whatever. Do you have a book? Do you have a book? And I would get this repeated just at the gas station, whatever. People would just like, are you the lady who writes for so-and-so? I was the only Black woman writing for the paper, so I guess it was easier to catch me. But anyway, and so finally, after getting this request, someone said, I was like, well, just write the book. And I was like, oh, you're not good enough here. You don't have enough time. Because this was 2004. So I think I had 3 children at the time. Life was busy. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so my first book is called Live Your Abundant Life. And it was a compilation of my articles that had kind of gotten the most traction. Mm-hmm. So once that was out of the way, I was like, okay, I'm going to write again. But then life started lifing.
Yes.
So I did not write or publish it. Well, I was writing. I kept writing for the newspaper. But I didn't publish my next book until 2018. And it was called Reclaim Your Life.
Reclaim
Your Life. Okay. Guidance for Wives at the Crossroads. And then with some friends, we came together and we did Live Your Abundant Life too. And these were women telling their stories of resilience. Mm-hmm. And then my last book, not my last, well, it wouldn't be my last, but my most recent book is called Your Self-Love Revolution. And that book has taken off.
I have 2 copies.
We are doing workshops almost monthly. We actually have a program that's going to be online for girls based on that book. Women who are saying, I want my daughter to get this information so that they are avoiding the mistakes that we made. Because it should be easy for us to love ourselves, but most of us don't. We're so busy out there looking for other people to give us what we won't give to ourselves. So the book takes you through 30 days. Every day you're focusing on a different aspect, but the goal is to get you to a point where that thing you're looking for out there, you actually give to you first. Yeah.
Wow. Let's talk about some other milestones that you got here. It Girls. Tell us about the It Girls.
Oh my God. You know what? I actually thank the maggots for It Girls.
Okay.
I've never said this publicly, but I was the president of the Belton Rotary Club. And this was around the time when they were really stirring up this white nationalism, fascism thing. And there were some members of the club who were not too happy that I was the president. I was the first and, as far as I know, the only Black president of that Rotary Club. And every day when I drove to our meeting, I'm self-employed, so I was paying my own dues and everything. I was like, why am I giving so much to this concept? My father had been a Rotarian, so I grew up with this concept of Rotary Club. And so I really looked forward to giving back as an adult through it. But I felt like there was quite a bit of racism. They don't like when I say that, but I'm called a spade a spade. And there were people who actually would not shake my hand, make eye contact, because they did not want this darker skinned woman in this position. And as I thought about it, I was like, why am I putting my time and my energy into this? What do I really want to be doing? And I've always, in some way, shape, or form, worked with kids. When we were in Illinois, we had a summer empowerment youth program. And so I was like, I want to work with youth. So I reached out to a principal in South Belton, and I said, I'd like to come once a week and work with some of your girls. Mm-hmm. And I figured whatever I was paying to Belton Rotary, I would just redirect that to my community, to these girls I'll serve. And so she's like, well, can you just write up something? We'll make an announcement and we'll send a permission slip home for the girls who are interested. So we started. So they said, I thought 5 girls. I was just going to mentor one-on-one. First meeting, we had, I think, 16 girls. The next meeting, we were too big for the room. There were over 30 girls. And after that, we started averaging about 70 girls. And then when we would post what we were doing on social media, because we were school-based, other parents were like, wait a second, why can't our girls get access to this? So we had our first annual conference in 2017, had over 125 girls there. And the last one we had before COVID, we had 350 girls there. So we have we have a conference coming up on June 12th at the Killeen Civic Center, and it's the It Girls Conference. Always packed out, leadership skills, communication skills, teaching them about financial literacy, self-love, cybersecurity, but we also have a lot of fun. So we have a glow party, we have an ice cream social, we feed them, and we have a track for the parents as well to give them some of the skill sets they need to navigate this generation of kids. So anyone who's interested, if you go to intelligentandtalentedgirls.com, you'll be able to get some information about the conference. Yeah.
Another milestone, you have your own podcast. I've had the pleasure of being on your podcast twice. Let's talk about rethinking politics.
So it's rethinking freedom, but yes, I deal with a lot of politics, because right now our freedom is tied to politics. I hear people say, I don't do politics. I said, politics is doing you from before you're born till after you're dead. Because think about it, all of whether your mother gets the care that she needs, whether she can have a baby or not have a baby, that's before you were born. And then after you die, on the probate side, we still coming after your estate, after your money. Ooh. So politicians are making choices that are going to impact your entire life. So for you to say you don't do politics is, quite frankly, ignorant. But rethinking freedom, that is as a result of another one of our mentors, Babatunde.
Yep.
I was minding my business with my plate too full. I love to garden and mind my business. People don't realize this. I'm actually introverted. And he said, I thought he was asking me to be a guest on a show, because I was driving to the airport when I got that call. I totally misunderstood him. He wanted me to step in and do a show because he initially was going to do a show. Mm-hmm. I didn't get it. But anyway, that's how Rethinking Freedom was born. And our goal is simply to get people to actually deal with the issue of what is freedom, what does it really mean to you, and what are you doing to attain and maintain it? Because I think right now we have an election going on, and many people are asleep, and yet we see elections have consequences. Yes. So if you want to be free, if you want to sing all these songs about, the land of the free and home of the brave and all of that, what are you doing? How free are you really? And what are you willing to do for your freedom? So we just try to challenge people and get them to think along those lines.
And I've been challenging people to take the time to follow some of the House bills when they're in session and the Senate bills when they're in session. A lot of this stuff now is Zoomed, or you can go on YouTube and watch it. I mean, I watched the House Bill 2 not too long ago. You'll be amazed to see what you see and hear what you hear, and you watch how the political realm is moved there. So, and I know you're very, very, very in depth with the politics side of it. Rethinking freedom, hashtag politics.
Politics, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so let's shift a little bit and tell me what have you created in creating these platforms as a woman? What have you gained, or how do you let me see if I can rephrase this question right in my mind. So, your mother, tell me how the success of being a mother, as related to all those things that you have done, has created this person that we know to be as Aya Eneli. Because all of these different little entities have come together and has created this human being called Aya Eneli. The motherhood, being an attorney, the nonprofit, the book author, the motivational speaker, and the traveler. You do get out and do some travels on your own.
Yeah, we have a library in Opobo too.
Yes, talk about that.
So, okay, I'll say that really quick and come to your question. So, I love to read. Reading was always my escape. And as an 18-year-old, I really had this dream of having a library in Opobo, which is my ancestral homeland in Nigeria, for other kids to experience what I experienced. But then life started lifing, and that was put to the side. Well, fast forward 2022, I realized we still don't have a public library in my hometown with thousands of kids. And so I decided, I'm going to do something about it. And if I have a few friends who are willing to give, $10, $20 here and there, it goes a long way. And so we opened up a library. We have a little over 700 volumes, and most of the books are written by and about Africans or Black people. We really wanted the kids to be able to see themselves, because a lot of colonization, you've traveled in Africa, is about getting Black people to hate themselves.
Yes. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, whitewashing themselves, so to speak. And so the library is open 5 days a week. We also do a language class there. Ibani is the original language, the indigenous language for that area, which was kind of going extinct. And so we're trying to do our part. And we're just really excited about that opportunity and hoping that we will eventually have a whole building where we can do a lot more things as well. So that was that. But the other question that you asked, I am definitely a product of my community. And I would say even when we're criticizing our children, I say, you know what, for every finger you're pointing at our youth, we need to watch and see there are at least 3 pointing back at us, because our children are a product of our community. And so everything that you see in me, people put in me. You know, I had a mother. My mother is almost 81 and my mother still works. She's retired, I don't know, 2-3 times. My mama can't sit at home and just twiddle her thumbs.
Yes.
She is counseling drug addicts. She's teaching at the university. She's farming.
Wow.
I mean, she's feeding people. My father is almost 87. Up until last year, he was still teaching PhD candidates.
I mean,
his schedule is like, Dad, can you fit me in for a couple of minutes here and there? My grandparents were the same. They were entrepreneurs. I've had mentors who poured into me. And so even my love for gardening came from gardening with my mother as a little girl. And so I give credit to those who came before me for who I am and how I am. Did I answer your question?
Yes,
I feel like there was another piece maybe.
I mean, what I'm taking from it is many hands that mold the clay that we know as Aya Eneli.
Yes.
So, and you're watching the Lively Art of Conversation. We'll be right back.
Hello, this is Aya Fubara Eneli, and you are listening to the Lively Art of Conversation with none other than Dr. Rodney Duckett.
All right, we're back with the Lively Art of Conversation. If you're interested in being an underwriter or interested in any ads, get with me at livelyartofconversation@gmail.com. We're back with Aya Eneli. And what I want to ask her is there anything that you want to pass along to that single mother or those married couples that might be going through some difficulties, or those young children that are out there that's trying to that are struggling and trying to get back on their feet? What would you like to pass along to them?
I would like to say, do you know who you are? Do you know what stock you come from? Do you know what your people overcame for you to be here? And that is for any people. I don't care what hue, color you are. Yeah. Like, we've all come from something. And so, again, a lot of these labels are new age labels that are being put on people. Single mother, dysfunctional home. Whose home is functional? I want to see that person who tells me their whole home is functional, because I ain't seen one. Okay. Yeah. But I'm just saying, we take on these labels and then we feel like we now have to live up to or live down to whatever stereotype comes with the label. But you are you.
Yes.
And you have divinity in you. You literally have God within you.
Yes.
And if God is within you, then you have to understand you win unless you quit.
Yeah.
And so what I'm going to tell everybody listening to the sound of my voice is, this is not time for quitting.
No, it's not.
This is not time for quitting. This is time to tap into your deep roots.
Yes. Definitely.
When a plant is like being attacked or whatever, it takes its roots deeper down to draw up the nutrients, the strength that it needs to be able to fight back, and it connects. You actually see where trees connect their roots underneath, and the other trees are helping this other tree that is fighting a disease. So what I would say is, trust yourself, don't quit, know that God is within you, and try to find people who are where you want to be that you can link up with, either as a mentee or your mentoring or your peers, mastermind groups, whatever. But we cannot do life alone. Yes. We got to find some people that we can go on this journey with.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. And that brings me to the quote, and you guys hear me saying this a lot, and they're like, where did you get this quote from? I got it from my late mentor and his wife. She just recently passed away not too long ago. As a boy, this is the one thing she would deposit into me. She says, Rodney, You are 90% as good as everybody else and 10% better than the rest. All you need is a little bit more effort, and you can be at 150%. And that's all you need to be as successful. I'm like, huh? And that's what she just said. That is what I had just said. So I want you guys to keep this in mind as we're moving forward. The word is resilience. And you just heard that word resilience. I try to find the right words to fit my guest on the show. I think I know them, but every now and then they drop me some surprises here on the show. This is a lively art of conversation. You have just experienced and lived this life with Miss Aya Eneli. She told you what she's learned. She's told you what she's gained. And she also has passed it along. Miss Aya Eneli, you have a lot of things that's coming up in the community. I'm going to give you a chance to talk about a few things that you have coming up in the community.
Well, oh my gosh. Well, the main one everybody should be focusing on right now is please go out and vote.
Yes.
Voting is underway right now. It's not my thing, like it's not my event, or you understand that. But we all need to go out and vote. If you haven't voted, go out and vote. Like I said, on June 12th, we do have the 4th annual Intelligent and Talented Girls Conference coming up. The website is www.intelligentandtalentedgirls.com. We want to see your young girls there. Give us a chance to pour into them. And once they are, once they tap in, we have events every month. And so we're constantly working with these young girls and mentoring them and giving them some positive outlets. Beyond that, if you are someone who says, hey, I'd like to donate books or donate some resources in Opobo, we're not only just working with the library, we're also sponsoring a school that has a little over 200 kids. So we pay the salaries for all the teachers. Yes. But that's pretty much what we have going on right now. Go out and vote and do the work that you know you need to do. All of us know the thing that we've been called to do, but we've got to put in that effort. And we can't wait for somebody else to do it. It's your call to do it.
If you want to be a part of this journey with Aya Eneli, how do they reach out to you?
You can find me at ayaeneli.com. Oh, and I didn't talk about this at all.
What's that?
In my law firm, we do estate planning. So many stories out there about how we are not transferring the wealth that we've worked for. You can also go to mhlaw.org and fill out some information. We'll send you information and just help educate you about what you need to do to protect your assets.
I'm glad you said that. I want to bring you back probably here in the next couple of weeks, and we can just talk about that, because I think that's very, very important. Me going through that process with my dad, and also me establishing that process. Yeah, Miss Aya Eneli, I'd like to thank you very much for being on this show. You're phenomenal. I told you it was going to be a great phenomenal show. Oh, girl, I'm just following in your footprints. That's all I'm doing.
Not at all, sir. You were here doing the work long before me. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful to know you and to be sharpened by you. Thank you.
Thank you. And that means a lot for me. It really does. And we've mentioned this name time and time again, but next week's show is going to be all about men's health, and I'm going to start off men's health with one of our mentors, Mr. Babatunde. So tune in next week as we have Under One Roof. To whom you give your money, to whom you give your power. He will be live in studio. And that's it from the lively art of conversation, where we live, we learn, we earn, and my goodness, we're going to pass this knowledge along. Thank you.